Next one being the 10th one, being order. This principle relates to the arrangement of things and people. How you arrange the things or the people who are working within your organization. It has to be maintained in an orderly manner. You should be knowing what comes after what. Okay. So, if the base has to be strong here, the higher the weight, more the weight, it will be down, and then lesser the weight, it has to be kept in this way. When you are maintaining files too, the most important files, or you have to put number it either by numbers or by putting alphabets. You just number it so that you find it easy to find out the required files, name the files and keep it in order, so that as and when you require the things, you can just pull it out and refer to those files. Even people, there has to be order how they are placed within the workplace. Now, there a saying goes, place for everything and everything in its place. So, it means that right person is placed in the right time. At the right time, the right person is in the right place, and bigger the organization, it becomes more problematic for us to maintain order. You do not know from where to start and where to end. Smaller the place, you can keep it in order in a more comfortable way, but bigger the place, it becomes more problematic. But you have to see to it that everything is kept in an orderly manner, there is place for everything and everything is in its place. The next point being equity, the 11th point being equity. Now, here in this particular picture, you can see two situations. One is equality and one is equity. In equality, what has happened? You want to treat everyone as being equal. So, you give the same size the stand. You have 3 stands which you have put, it is of the same size, and you make people stand. The tallest one, he can see the match properly. The second one, okay, he is just bending now, he can just make his head straight and he can see the match. But the third one, absolutely, there is a match going on. So, the third one can absolutely, he is not able to see the match what is going in the ground. Whereas, here in the case of equity, the tallest person has no stool placed, the second one a medium stool placed, and the tallest stool will be given to the shortest one. So, all the 3 people can view the match very easily. So, that here by this you can find the difference between giving equality and equity. Now, what is equity? It is nothing but a combination of justice and kindness. So, whatever share of profits you get, out of that whatever you are sharing it with your employees or workers should be in such a way that the total number of workers you have got all feel that they are being equally given the share, so that they are happy in their workplace. So, you treat them with justice and with kindness, be kind to them, not too rude. Equity in treatment and behavior is liked by all. In behavior and treatment, everything matters is how you behave with another person, how you treat another person. Humans are humans after all, they are not machines. So, you cannot handle a person the way you handle machine, with rudeness, not being kind enough, always you are shouting at him. All those things are not going to work out. There is a systematic way as to how you can deal with the various problems that arises, that is personal problems or people's problem when it is arising. The way to solve will be there. Shouting or blasting will not always work. So, when you are treating him, that is how you behave with him and how you treat him matters a lot. The way you treat or behave with him, if he is really happy, he would put in his best efforts, so that in return who is going to be benefited? The organization is going to be benefited. Next, it brings loyalty to the organization. He becomes more loyal. He will not see to it that he wants to dupe the organization by any chance, because they are treating him so well, their behavior is so well, they are kind to him. So, he will like to see that he is always loyal to the firm, never going to cheat the firm at any cost. Last point being here, its application requires good sense, experience and nature. Good sense, experience and nature. So, when you want to apply the principle of equity, it should apply how? It should require good sense, appreciation. Your good sense, by good sense we mean that how you treat your worker. Is he feeling good to be with you? Okay? Experience counts here, and also the good nature. So, to sum up, when all these things are there, you are fulfilling the principle of equity. Next one, the 12th one being stability of tenure. Stability of tenure, how strong. You might have seen a tree. If you are going to take the example of a tree, okay, you just go to see when you see a big tree, you will know that the roots are deep inside, penetrated deep inside the soil. So, when the roots are strong down, the whole tree will be standing straight. When the roots become weaker, the tree tends to shake and it might fall down. Same it is with the employees. The stability here, stability of tenure is what? No employee should be removed within short period of time. Okay? So, under stability, no employee should be removed. you appoint a person, you see to it that has been working with you for quite a number of years. Unless and until there is a valid reason, you should not be taking him out of the job. When that happens, when there is frequent turnover of labor or employees, what happens? Your roots the roots of the organization tend to become weaker. So, a person should feel secured whenever he is with you. So, that's the second point you have to focus on, job security. Any person comes into your workplace with the intention of having job security. Okay? So, only when he's got the thought of job security will he be willing to put in his maximum number of years in the organization and be working with you all. So, you have to see to his job security. And the next point would be unnecessary turnover is bad. It's bad for the organization. So, without reason, you are just taking out people, okay? You are just throwing them out of your organization, throwing them out of the job without any valid reason. It gives a bad impression of that particular organization where they have been working for, because there are no complaints about the employee or no complaint about that particular worker, and you have just taken him out of the job. It's going to create a bad impression on the organization, on the management, not on the worker as such. So, stability in tenure is important to get the employee accustomed. He is already used to that job. He is already used to the job where he has been working on. He has to be succeeded there for more number of years. You take the example of a building. If a building has to be strong, what is expected to be more strong? The foundation. So, if the foundation of the building is strong enough, then no building is going to collapse under any circumstances. So, the same should be with the organization. Only if your workforce is strong, so they are the base of your organization. Only if they are strong and they stand strong for many number of years will your organization go up and you can ultimately reach what you are aiming for. The next one, the 13th, being initiative. Being initiative. Now, under this particular principle, managers should encourage their subordinates to take up initiative. Now, here there are 5 subordinates. Okay? Here, if the manager is placed here, so he has got 5 subordinates working under him. When there are 5 subordinates, he is giving the 3rd subordinate to take up the initiative, to take up the lead in a job. So, when he encourages the subordinate to take up initiative within their limit of authority and responsibility. So, the total authority and responsibility is not shifted, only a part of it, a part of the authority and responsibility. So, only a part of the authority within their limit, how much is provided to them. So, within that limit they have to work out. So, only when he is given the initiative does he feel important. He thinks I also am an important part of this organization and goes forward with this job. Next one being initiative is concerned with thinking out and execution of a plan. Thinking and execution. So, if you are given a lead to start a work, you have to take the initiative as to how you are going to work on it. So, before you can actually go for doing the job, you have to think of a plan. How am I going to do this job? Once you have thought of it, then you go for the execution of that particular job or plan. Now, what does it encourage? It encourages the person to be more energetic and he works with zeal and enthusiasm. So, it encourages energy and zeal. So, when you have given an initiative to your subordinate, he thinks and gets the plan executed. When he is done with the execution of a plan, he feels encouraged. So, when he is feeling encouraged, he is feeling his important part of the organization, he will be putting in more of his energy and working with enthusiasm and zeal. Okay, I hope you are clear with the point. The last one being, 14th one being, so here the last principle which we will be taking up is aspirate the corps, which means union is strength. So, in this picture we have been depicting only when you join in or join hands and you feel that you all are one, unity is said to be strength. Okay. So, the management must encourage this and replace I with V. So, the thinking of your subordinates should be replaced from I to V. I, which means ego. So, you have to let go your egoism, think that you all are one, work together, join hands, work together, feel the importance of each other. Only then can you succeed in reaching your targets or achievements. Every employee in the organization must consider themselves to be an important part of the organization. When you consider that you all are important and your importance is felt, do you put in your 100% efficiency or maximum efficiency. Next, team contribution is always better than individual contribution. When you are working as a team, it gives better result. Take for example, you are playing a football match, your team is playing a football match. You cannot put all the responsibility only on the captain. So, the captain is not the only person who is going to play the match, it is the team. So, only when the team spirit is there can you win or give a tough fight. Winning may not be the only criteria, you always want to win, but even if you do not win, at least a fight should be there. So, it should be as a teamwork, not an individual. Okay? So, same here. The manager should create such an atmosphere that each individual is feeling that he is a part of the organization. So, your team contribution is counted here. For this, what has to be there? Mental trust. You should be having a mutual, it's mutual trust. So when you have a mutual trust and belongingness, when you have the sense of belongingness and when you have got mutual trust on each other, that when you have mutual trust, what happens? You get complete faith on the other person. You rely on that other person's words. Only when that works out can you work as a team. When you don't trust another person, you cannot share with all your problems or whatever the situation is. So only when the mutual trust is there among the workers there and they have a sense of belongingness, will they feel that it is one, our team is one. So that feeling has to come to that. So I think we have gone through all the 14 principles which Henry Fayol focused on. Now coming to the end of Fayol's 14 principles of management, which is applied to solving managerial problems, and he has cast a very profound impact on the management thinking today. So even today we follow his principles as it was followed earlier. Even in today's life, at every point wherever this principles is needed, we do follow it. Having gone through the principles of both Taylor and Fayol, let's just have a small comparison between the two, which would be the last module of our second chapter. So we just have a small comparison. Going into the first difference, basis of difference, the perspective. So if we are going to take the point of difference as perspective, one was catering to the, here Fayol concentrated on the top level management. So what are the managerial principles, what the manager has to follow to fulfill the needs of his subordinates? At what situation, what principle he will be applying to his subordinates related to top level management, whereas here it is shop floor management. The workers who are working at the lowest base. So here he is giving importance to the workers, their mental capacity. What are they going to think and how bring out the best what is there in them. The second point, unity of command. Unity of command. And the unity of command, here he was a strong believer. Strong belief. Here he was a strong believer, but whereas he did not feel or did not give importance to this principle. He did not feel it important because under his functional foremanship, he had given each area who was that is functional expertise people who were there in that particular area. So, each area was given to one particular foreman. So, according to him, he thought functional foremanship would work better than having unity of command. So, one person to give the command was not applicable to him. He did not feel it was strong enough. He felt that at each level you are dividing, at each of the departments you are dividing into 8 functional foremanship. So, those 8 functional foremanship will cater to the needs of their department. The third one being applicability. Here it is applicable universal, universe. So, according to Fayol, his principles was followed universally. Maybe it is any type of organization, any type of concerns, if it is a manufacturing or a non-manufacturing or a service oriented organization, whatever may be the organization or the concern, it is universally applicable. The principles are universally applicable. Whereas, Taylor was of the opinion that his principles and techniques need to be followed in specialized areas only, specialized situations only. Okay. So, that was the third point of difference. Fourth one being on the basis of formation, on the basis of formation. Here Fayol was of the opinion that when they are forming, they take into account the personal experience. So, through personal experience, they formulate the principles whichever is needed for their organization. Whereas, Taylor here felt that experimentation on the basis of experiments conducted. So, they used to conduct certain experiments and see whether this certain method or this certain technique would work out or no. So, on the basis of experiment, they used to formulate a principle or a technique, whereas here it was on the personal ground. Next one being personality. The fifth one being personality. He was a practitioner, and Fayol was a practitioner and Taylor was a scientist. So, on the basis of the personality, we have come to know by now that Fayol was a practitioner and Taylor was a scientist. The sixth one being on the basis of expression. On the basis of expression, Fayol's principles were general theory of administration, general theory of administration. Whereas Taylor's was scientific management, So, when Fayol looked into formulating his principles, he was looking to the needs of the managerial, from the manager's point of view, for taking up managerial decisions. So, with what best decision can they work out in a better way, whereas Taylor concentrated on having scientific management, where he used the scientific analysis to be done in each and every work what he did. The last point being focus. So, when you see this point of difference here, this Fayol focused on overall administration, improving overall administration, improving overall administration. Whereas Taylor focused on increasing productivity, increasing productivity. Fayol saw that the managers need to be focusing on the principles where they can take the best of best decisions, and it will be affecting the whole organization, and they are going to have the best of the best administrative principles being put into practice. Whereas here Taylor, he focused on how he can increase the productivity by choosing one best method using scientific analysis. One best method by choosing scientific methods to get the optimum result. Okay. So, I think it is very clear. We have found out 7 differences between the theories or the principles laid down by Fayol and the principles laid down by Taylor. To conclude, we can say that essentially both the theories are complementary to each other.